Hi, thanks for checking out this video. I'm your Everyday Joe. In today's video, I'm going to be making my version of popcorn chicken using the Power Air Fry oven. Stay tuned. Now, I know when I first started making this, I was like, well, where's the popcorn? You're going to call it popcorn chicken? You know, and I've gone to places with popcorn chicken. There's no popcorn. They're using a cornmeal, so that hence the popcorn part of it. Also, it's because when they started using it and started making these were just little nuggets of little small pieces, smaller than a chicken nugget that was left over. And when they fried these up, it kind of looked like a popped kernel of corn. So they call it kind of popcorn chicken. That's kind of a new term that they're using. And that's pretty much all I've been able to find on the internet as to where it came from. But regardless, we're going to make this delicious and we're going to make it nice and crunchy. All right, so the ingredients are going to be pretty simple for this. It's just like any other breaded chicken. The difference is in the marinade that I'm using here. Now, I've already cut the chicken breast. I'm using one large chicken breast, which I've cut into probably about 1.5 inch cubes. And I've marinated it for a couple hours using some apple cider vinegar. This is the one with the mother in it. If you're going to use apple cider vinegar, make sure you use the one with the mother in it. Also, adding some sweetener in it. Now you can add sugar. I'm using an organic blue agave. A little bit of olive oil. I have an egg wash, some Parmesan grated cheese, some cornmeal, some panko breadcrumbs, and some flour. So in the marinade, I basically added the apple cider vinegar, the agave, little olive oil, some salt, pepper, a little bit of onion powder and garlic powder, and that's pretty much it. So I covered it up, put it in the fridge for about 2 hours just to let it marinate. So, you know, now that I have it here, let's get going into assembling this. Using the Ziplocs is just so much easier for breading and for flouring chicken, fish, or whatever else you're flouring. So what I'm going to do in here, I'm going to season the flour the same way that I season the marinade, kind of the same idea. So I've got some granulated onion or onion powder. Get a little bit of pepper in it, not too much because I've got a lot in the marinade. Okay, a little bit of salt. And this is about a half cup of all-purpose flour. You can use rice flour if you like, or cornstarch, that'll work too. Okay, and this is probably maybe a couple of tablespoons of cornmeal. This is a coarse ground cornmeal. Okay, get that in there. And I'm just going to give this a little toss just to make sure everything gets incorporated. Okay. Okay, let's set that aside for now. And in the breadcrumbs, that's where I'm going to add the grated cheese. Now, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'll add the grated cheese because it adds the flavor and a little bit of saltiness to it too. Okay, so we're just going to make sure that's all incorporated. This is going to give it a hell of a crunch. It's going to be a nice crunch here. So let's get to the flouring side. So I'm not going to bother patting these dry or anything. I'm just going to dump them in here, you know, a piece at a time, a few pieces at a time. If I can fit them all, I'll put them all in here. Because again, I'm only using one chicken breast, which was a pretty good size. So it looks like you know, the acidity of the vinegar here looks like it may have started cooking a little bit, which is okay. What I find is when I use vinegar in a marinade, it helps to tenderize. It also helps keep the juices in there. So after you cook it, it helps keep, you know, a lot of the juices in there, so it stays pretty moist. Okay, so put that aside. So now we're just going to close this up, make sure it's sealed, and give it a toss. All right. So all we want to do is basically make sure that they're all coated. And it's okay, as they start absorbing some of the flour, you're going to get those little crumbs created, you know, a nice thick coating and little nugget pieces on it. So that's going to give it a nice texture. All right. All right, so I think we're good here. So I'm going to get a rack here because we're going to go right to the air fry oven once this is set. So we get the breadcrumbs, the egg wash, and this is just a medium egg with a little bit of milk in there. You can use water if you have it. I think milk just gives it a different flavor, a little bit different texture. All right, so this is going to be our station here. We're going to go from the flour, the egg, to the breadcrumbs, and to the rack. So let's just take that out. And you want to kind of tap out any additional flour. And some of these pieces are bigger, some are smaller. It's just the way I cut them. You know, you can go any size you want. So I'm going to get a few of them in here. Okay, you just want to basically just dip them in, give them a bath. Okay, get them in there. And you can see some of these pieces are small, so it's going to come out, some are going to come out crispier, some are going to come out softer. That's kind of the whole texture of it. So let's get that in there. And I'm just using a fork here. We're just going to kind of coat them. I mean, you can kind of press it in a little bit just to give it a nice thick texture. Now you can also double dip, go back to the egg and then into the breadcrumbs just to give it a thicker coating. I don't think you need to. I think it creates a crisp enough coating as is. All right, so this is what you have. All right, and I'll do this one here. So I'm just tapping it down just so it gets in there. Okay, and get this little one here out. And on these racks, you want to make sure you leave a little bit of space so the air gets around it and it'll toast it up. If you have a pan style, you can put them all closer together and then just give them a toss about halfway through. But I'm going to finish all these up, then I'll bring you back before I put them in the oven and we'll go through the cooking time and temperature. All right, so I just finished prepping these. These are all breaded up and on a rack. Just get them in the power air fry oven. And I'm gonna put these around the center. If I had more than one rack, I'd probably split them up a little bit, but I was able to fit them all on here. So let's get it the second from the top is where I put them. You can go a little lower, a little higher. I think wherever you put them, you just kind of have to watch them a little bit. So we're gonna close the door, power on. I'm gonna hit the French fry setting. That sets to 400 for 15 minutes, I believe. Yep, 15 minutes. So we're gonna let those go for about 15 minutes. As they start browning, just gonna take a look at them. You do want to make sure that your chicken is cooked to 165 degrees. So we're gonna test it before we pull it out. And I'll show you what they look like when they do come out. So let's turn the light on, take a look at them, and I'll see you when we come back. This popcorn chicken just came out of the power air fry oven. It was 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. I did have to lower the rack a little bit because the tops are getting a little too toasty. I didn't flip them at all. It looks like they toasted up just fine, nice and crispy. On the side here, I just made a spicy honey mustard, which is basically a couple tablespoons of yellow mustard, a tablespoon of raw honey, and some sriracha hot sauce. This popcorn chicken looks really good, and the crust came out really nice. And again, they're all different sizes, so you can call them nuggets, you can call them popcorn chicken, regardless of what you call it, as long as you eat it and it tastes good. It doesn't matter what the name is, but let's give this a taste here. I'm gonna go into the spicy honey mustard here. It's got a nice crunch. You can taste a little bit of the acidity and a little bit of the heat coming from the mustard. The coating looks really good. I mean, it's not falling apart at all. It's really nice. It's got a nice crunch to it. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but it's really good. Now you can have ketchup on the side. That works out too. I've also added some cherry peppers here for the looks, for the presentation. Looks like it turned out well. Good flavor. Take a look at some of our videos in our playlist here to do with the power air fry oven, some of the other recipes we have. We've tested out just about every feature on this thing, and so far we're pretty happy with it. So again, we hope you enjoyed the video. Leave us some comments, some likes. Go ahead and share if you like it. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.